Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Roth, Darren Jackson and Hugh MacDonald here with me. We did have some technical issues on our live feed, but we are back with, of course, the show. Can't let you down on a Tuesday, certainly not with Darren and Hugh at our side. It's a great chance to have a noise up, and as ever, with Roughie by my side, we're going to talk about quite a lot of things here today. The Rangers AGM, for one, Stuart Robertson, the Managing Director, stating that Rangers will be copying Celtic's blueprint, which is basically to try and get players that they can sell on. And that's part of the strategy for 2021. Over and above that, Gerard Houllier passed away yesterday, and one of his young players at the time, Steven Gerrard, now the Rangers manager, pays tribute to Houllier. We'll also look at the Betfred quarterfinals. Who's going to make it into the semi-finals? You can give us your thoughts on that. And the small matter of the Scottish Cup final coming up, Celtic against Hearts. Two clubs which Darren Jackson has played for. In fact, it's very rare that Darren Jackson hasn't played for a club that's involved in anything to do with Scottish football. Simple as that. Roughie, no surprise, Stuart Robertson looking towards a blueprint of get players in of a certain age, sell them on, hopefully for a big profit later on.
Yeah, it's a wise move. You just have to look at across the road to the money that's come in over the years, a very healthy amount of money, and why wouldn't you want to copy that? You know, at this moment in time, I think he's got 4 players he could sell on, but not the kind of money Celtic got for Tierney, not by a long shot. So it's a starting ground. Everything's going well for them just now. They have picked up money in European football. So tied in with that, I would expect maybe one player to go in January to try and reduce a lot of the debt that they've accumulated over the last couple of years.
And over and above that, of course, the man who really has been silent at the top, the chairman, Douglas Park, just mentioned that he is, at this point, looking at a Rangers side well ahead of where he envisaged Hugh MacDonald.
Yeah, I think these comments about Rangers being far ahead are concentrated on what's happening on the park. You know, a substantial lead in the fight for the title, looking very strong favourites there now. He knows though that the big financial problems still remain. Every club's been hit by COVID. Rangers no exception to that. But there's big debt issues there that have been met largely by issuing more shares to directors and indeed to Club 1872. So big financial hurdles to be met, but that is always helped by performance on the park, Peter. And what he'll be looking for is not only a title, but a tilt at the Champions League, a sale of a player, and that goes an awful long way to eating into that debt.
Yeah, it's like every club. Some clubs manage to go on with huge debts, providing, of course, they get substantial money in to accommodate that debt. Darren, there's one thing that will help: the Europa League money. They're in the last 32. They're playing Royal Antwerp, and they've got a right good chance of getting into the last 16.
Yes, Peter, they'll know that any draw was going to be hard, but if you can pick a draw, they would have probably picked them. They'll fancy their chances. They've been quite superb in Europe. The way they've gone about it, even away from home, the results have been fantastic. So so that obviously helps bringing in the money, as Hugh mentioned about COVID's been the problem, and selling players. And two of the best players this year, Peter, have been Tavernier and Barisic. But the problem they'll have is the money that they'll probably look for. They're 28 and 29, which is a problem for teams down south. They're looking for younger. So I think the one they're probably looking for is to sell is Morelos. And I think that's why they keep playing him. I think he's from the 29th of December last year up until now, I think he scored 7 goals, where he scored 29 in the first 5 months of the season last year. But they keep on playing him because I'm not sure they think that Etan's the answer, and Jermaine Defoe obviously has a problem starting games just now rather than coming on. So I think they're playing him to hopefully he can get a start on the goal trail again and get money for him.
Yeah, it's a good point you make, Dan, because he hasn't scored a league goal since September. But nevertheless, he's also in a bit of hot water because, Roughie, the SFA have served him with a notice of complaint for the old forearm smash against Mark Connolly in the match against Dundee United. I think he knows himself he'll be facing some sort of ban for this unless somewhere along the line Rangers get a case that gets him off with it.
I'd be surprised in these sort of instances. You tend to look at the first issue, second, third, fourth clip. I don't think you have to look at any more than the first clip. It's out now. He knows what he's doing. I hope the Rangers manager's had a look at it as well, so he can sort of have another slant on how he saw it as well, because it's blatant to me. And if he got off with this one, I'd be really, really surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Rangers looking forward to quarterfinals of the Betfred Cup. We're going to talk about that shortly. But the Rangers manager, Steven Gerrard, has been paying tribute to his old boss, Gerard Houllier, who sadly passed away yesterday at the age of 73.
I would like to pay tribute to him. Yesterday was a really tough day for myself and Gary McAllister. Gerrard obviously played a huge part in both our careers. And also our lives. So the news yesterday was really difficult to take. It was a huge blow. Came in yesterday morning really happy after our result at the weekend, and then to receive that news was a bitter blow. He was a special man, a caring man, a loving man, more than just a manager.
Nice words from Steven Gerrard, and his England teammate Frank Lampard also had some nice words about the former Liverpool manager who sadly passed away.
I came across him on and off the pitch. Was always an absolute gentleman in the times that I met him, and just reading some quotes then from people who knew him much better than me. That seems to be the resounding thing that comes out of this. A great football person, very successful in his managerial career, great person, and all the respect to his family, thoughts with his family from myself and everyone at Chelsea, of course.
Yeah, and Frank Lampard echoing the sentiments of many across the footballing world on Gerard Houllier. Steven Gerrard may well have picked up more than a few tips of Houllier, as he at this moment is doing really well as the Rangers manager. They're now looking forward to a Betfred quarter-final. And the way things are shaping up on this one, you wouldn't bet against them, Hugh, making it all the way to the final at Hampden.
Absolutely not. I mean, the absolute strong favourites, Peter, to go all the way now. Always the case when in any cup competition in Scotland that the chances of one half of the Old Firm always improve with the demise of the other half, and when one side is out the cup, the other one becomes long odds on to get to Hampden and to prevail. I think they'll have a difficult game. I think St Mirren are playing well at the moment. I think they've had a kind of patchy start to the season, things not going their way in so many ways. But Jim Goodwin's got them organised. They seem to be more powerful, more assured. So that'll be a good game. But I do expect Rangers. I do expect this to be Gerrard's first trophy for Rangers.
Yeah, Jim Goodwin's got a fair job in his hands with this one, but the St Mirren boss says he has a plan.
They're unbeaten. I think somebody said yesterday in about 27 games or something like that. They've been incredible domestically and also in Europe. So many teams have tried many different systems and formations against them, but at the moment nobody's been able to stop them. So hopefully I can come up with some kind of plan between now and Wednesday that will give us the best chance possible of trying to get through to the next round.
Darren, I was impressed with the way St Mirren went about their business against Motherwell at the weekend. I thought they played some lovely football. And of course, they look fairly solid at the back, but this is the biggest test.
Of course it's the biggest test. It's always the biggest test against Old Firm, Peter. But I was at the Hamilton Hibs game on Saturday, but I was texting someone who was at the game, and they said St Mirren played extremely well, played very well, and that's 9 games. And that breeds confidence, whether they're winning them all. I mean, they've had a rough start to the season with COVID. There've been 3 points taken off them and given to Hamilton because they couldn't play their game, which would be a blow to them. I know they're appealing it, but it would be a blow. But it's not derailed them. And I'm pleased for Jim. I really like Jim as a person. and he seems to be doing really well. He's brought in good players, and they're going well just now. But it will be a hard game. But they're at home, and that gives them the best chance, Peter.
In the other tie, Alloa against Hibernian, Roughie, your old side will be going to a team brimming with confidence. They knocked Hearts out. They had a good win over Arbroath at the weekend. And, of course, true to form, surely Peter Grant is going to bring the pitch in and try and make it a five-a-side pitch.
Yeah, I think anybody who's been down there will appreciate, what we're talking about. It is difficult when you narrow the park. Obviously, it stops the width that you've got in your team. But I'm sure Hibs will adapt to that. I think if Hearts had taken their chances in the first game against Alloa, they would have won it quite comfortably. So I would expect Hibs to get a few chances tonight. And if they take them, I think they'll win quite comfortably. But no, Alloa will battle in there. I said this to Naismith the last time. Don't let Alloa score first. If you let Alloa score first, they're a dogged team there and they know how to play this pitch. But I don't think Hibs will have that trouble at all.
Yeah. There are two other ones which could be, if we're talking about a shock, would it be a shock for Dunfermline, Hugh, to knock out St Johnstone?
I think it would be a mild surprise, but I wouldn't be shocked by it, Peter. St Johnstone, of course, got beat at the weekend, so that ended, a very strong run under Callum Davidson. But Stevie Crawford's done very, very well at Dunfermline. You only have to look to the result against Hearts, a huge result for the club. I think even though Hearts have had their blips at Alloa, at East End Park as well against Dunfermline, I think Hearts could be rightfully looking as, almost certain champions. So it's a playoff spot that's up for grabs. And I think Hibs have made a really compelling case to say that might be their berth this season. So I wouldn't find it a shock, but I would find it a slight surprise. I expect St Johnstone just to sneak it, Peter.
Yeah, and Darren, I wouldn't like to put any money on it whatsoever, Livingston against Ross County. It's the one tie of the four that I can't call.
No, obviously Livingston will be feeling confident, and David Martindale will be feeling confident in himself. But you never know, Peter. Like in those games against the bottom teams, you never know. You just hopefully your players turn up. I would think the Livingston players are a lot more confident, but you never know in the game. And Ross County do have goal scorers, so that'll be a hard one. I'm going to the Dunfermline St Johnstone game, so I'm looking forward to that game because, as you say, I don't think it would be a major shock. It would be a surprise if Dunfermline won because St Johnstone are going well apart from Saturday. But I'm looking forward to that game.
Yeah, here's the four quarterfinals in the Betfred Cup. Have a look at them. See if you can pick yours. Dunfermline against St Johnstone, Alloa Hibs, then Livingston, Ross County, and St Mirren against Rangers. And I think I'm going to go Dunfermline, Hibs, Livingston, and Rangers. Roughie, where's your money?
No, I'm going to stick with St Johnstone. I know they get beat at the weekend there. I think the difference in divisions should tell in this one. St Johnstone have been playing well, so I'm going to go St Johnstone, Hibs, probably Rangers. I'm not too sure about the other one.
I think Ruffy's keeping that one to himself. Can I force you to maybe pick one, Roughie?
Come back to me in 5 minutes. I'll have made my mind up in 5 minutes.
Okay. Let's not bother. Hugh, who are you going for?
I quite fancy Livingston actually, because I think Ross County are despite that great result at Celtic Park, are not convincing at the moment. I think Hibs have all the quality to win at Alloa, but it's a difficult surface, that, Peter. I think Rangers will overcome a very strong and resourceful St Mirren, and I'll go for St Johnstone narrowly in East End Park.
Darren?
Yeah, I think they're all, when you look at them, Peter, they're all good games. They could go each way, but I'm going to go St Johnstone, Hibs, Rangers and Livingston.
Okay, small matter of the Scottish Cup final coming up at the weekend. Robbie Nielsen's been speaking ahead of it, which leads you to believe that Hearts won all the peace in the world from the media all the way up to the final. So with that in mind, don't forget that we will be there. We will be live. Darren Jackson will be with myself and Roughie and Gabriel Antoniazzi for the preview of the Scottish Cup final at Hampden. Hard to believe, December 20th, a Scottish Cup. Who would have thought? Robbie Nielsen, Nielsen has been speaking, and he reckons that all the furore around Neil Lennon, he reckons he will turn things around.
Had it as well, you're under pressure and you have to get results. And look, I still believe that Neil will turn it around, and I think he's a very good coach. He's a winner. He's proven that over the last 20 odd years when he's been at Celtic. And every club has little periods where they go up and down, and it's just part of football. So, yeah, look, hopefully we can get a result on Saturday. On Sunday. That's the main thing from our perspective, and I'm sure Neil will continue to keep fighting like he's done for years and years.
Yeah, and Robbie Nielsen, Hugh, will fancy his chances here because, apart from anything else, 2 good results for Celtic, but there's a wee suggestion they might go back to the tried and trusted that have failed over the last, couple of months?
Yeah, I think if you'd looked in advance, this, as we all know, Peter, this Scottish Cup final has been looming for months and months and months, because of COVID. So it's been a long run in, it was a hugely long run into the semi-finals. Then then it's been a run in to the final as well. And I think if you asked Robbie Nielsen, when it was a perfect time to have Celtic, I think this would be close to it. Despite the couple of encouraging results that Celtic have had. I think he certainly won't go in with his head down. Hearts have got quality players in that team. We keep saying Hearts are a Premiership team in the Championship, so you'll think he's got at least a puncher's chance at Hampden and Sunday. I think Celtic will prevail, by the way. I think Celtic have the quality. I think it'll be interesting. Neil Lennon's team selection will be hugely interesting, but I think Celtic have got the weapons now to defeat Hearts.
Interesting times. You can give us your thoughts on that on our Facebook and our YouTube and across Twitter as well. You can like, share and follow us on our Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. As far as the Scottish Cup final is concerned, that's Sunday. Join us if you can. Dan, Roughie and myself and Gabriel will be previewing the big match from Hampden. Now, just before we go, a couple of things I want to get your thoughts on, lads. The Ballon d'Or, obviously they can't have the big ceremony with everybody there and the great and the good of football over the last few years, but they have come out with 3 world teams that they think are well worthy. These are obviously people who've excelled in their particular country at football over the years, and they've picked, first of all, the first team. Roughie, have a look at it and see what you think of the team they've selected there. That's the Ballon d'Or dream team, the first team. What do you make of it, Roughie?
Yeah, surprised by the pick of Yashin. Obviously, way before most people's times, are very well thought of, and you used to wear all black all the time, and his era, he was head and shoulders above everybody. But yeah, I think all the players are all world class that you see on that screen. Yeah, it must have been a difficult one to pick because there's a lot of world class players running about that era, but certainly no, that is a quality side.
Are you happy with the front 3, Hugh?
Yeah, the front. By the way, the front 5 would be pretty. And if you're playing Pelly wide on the right, that's a pretty strong. A pretty strong team. Yeah, I mean, packed full of extraordinary players, and you could quibble about one or two that they could maybe shove the one or two out of there, but it's an extremely strong front 5 in particular.
I hate to ask you, give me one or two that you're talking about that you think should be in that first 11 then.
Well, I wouldn't see Darren no better because he's played up against him. I think there could be question marks over the right back. I think there's a lot of contenders for right back where Cafu is. Carlos Alberto would be one of them. I think Breitner, who I know is in a later team at left back, strangely. I think Danny McGrain is a genuine contender of one of the greatest right backs I've ever seen. I think the goalkeeping position as well, Yashin is probably romantically and traditionally picked amongst the best, but I think there's been some superb goalkeepers down the years that would challenge him, and I think Buffon and Banks Banks in 66 and 1970, was an outstanding goalkeeper as well. And here's a funny one, Peter. Xavi, I think, is an extraordinary player, but would you have Xavi before Zidane? It's an argument, isn't it?
It is an argument, and based on the fact that you look at it, I wonder if maybe the Carlos Alberto point is that he didn't play in Europe and wasn't available for any kind of notification or nomination for the Ballon d'Or. But nevertheless, it's well worthy of in a world sense. Here's the second team, Darren. What do you make of this second team here? Garrincha, I'm so glad. It probably defeats my argument. Garrincha, as a Brazilian, was absolutely sensational. I mean, even Pele talks about Garrincha in glowing terms.
Peter, every single one of them is absolutely. I mean, you talk about world class nowadays, and I think it's used way too much. This is world class, and I going back to the first team, Peter. I know Cafu, they've played three at the back. Though I can only go on Ray Wilkins. Ray Wilkins said Baresi is the best player he had ever played with. He says he was miles ahead of anybody, and I would have thought Baresi might have been in the first team. Everybody else is just. I mean, like the front five in that first team is just the best. We argue who's the best player you've ever. For me, it's Maradona, but that front five, I'll always be argued which one's the best.
Yeah, I'm glad we saw Garrincha and Alberto in the second 11, Hugh, which kind of defeats my argument on this, because I thought they were looking at just European footballers who'd played in Europe, Roughie, but I'm glad to say they're in there. Here's the third team, Roughie. You can't play in the second team. That's why we've got you in the third team.
Third team for me, Peter. I can only see the goalkeeper, back three in the midfield. I can't see the strikers on my screen, so you have to tell me who they are.
Up front, I've got Best, Henry, and the third one is Van Basten.
Yeah, the only one I would say, unless, as I said, I couldn't see up front the strikers in the second team, I would go Eusebio. If he wasn't in that second team, I thought Eusebio was a world-class player and would fit into these team, into one of these teams. But apart from that, I think, I'm not a big fan of Ramos, particularly because of his disciplinary, but as a player he's absolutely fantastic. But no, I mean, they're all great. I mean, they're just fantastic players, and if you're a part of any clubs they played for, you must have enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah,
I would jump in, Peter. I would jump in with just a couple that I've noticed. I mean, there's no Puskas there, and Puskas was the leading light of one of the greatest teams ever not to have won a World Cup, which of course was the 1954 Hungarians, probably a team that came to England and thrashed England 6-3, where Puskas was outstanding. I think he's a miss, and I think Bobby Charlton, who I would regard as the greatest English player after the Second World War, and there's a lot of competition. I know, Paul Gascoigne didn't quite fulfil because of injury, but Gascoigne, but I would say Charlton is a big miss, and Roughie's right about Eusebio as well. But see if we could offer a wee parochial level, Peter. I think there's some Scots that could certainly think about being in, third teams. There's Dalglish, Souness, Dennis Law, and Danny McGrain. There's four that I would throw into the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's probably more than a few English players, to be fair, that may well be, lots of English fans shouting from the high heavens about players that they think are worthy of it as well. When you consider how many honours they won as well, I'm sure the Welsh contingent would come up with John Charles, who played with distinction for Juventus as well. Listen, at best, can we argue with Georgie Best? No, we can't. Simple as that. Anyway, apart from anything else, that's the Ballon d'Or dream teams. We might as well, let's have a programme about it. Let's do a programme about it when we all eventually get back together. Okay, just before we go, this guy's 69. He lived not too far from me where I was brought up, where, as you're well aware, anybody who was born in Lanarkshire are possibly the best footballers that ever existed, bar none. Here's Joe Jordan.
One of Scotland's greatest ever strikers, Joe Jordan, turns 69 today. So let's have a look back at his career. Born in North Lanarkshire, Jordan broke through at Morton before making a move to Leeds United, where he started in their famous team of the early 70s under Don Revie. Jordan and fellow Scots were part of the Scottish Mafia, winning the league in 1974 and losing the European Cup final to Bayern Munich the following year. In 78, Jordan moved to Manchester United, breaking a transfer record between two English clubs, before a stint in Italy with AC Milan and Hellas Verona. He was nicknamed Jaws for his lack of front teeth and his target man presence, although after his career, he played down his hard man tag. Jordan also had success with the national team, scoring 11 times in 52 games, including at 3 different World Cups. His later career saw him feature for Southampton and Bristol City before trying his hand at management with Hearts, but he eventually became a successful assistant at Celtic, Portsmouth and Tottenham.
I thought he was a brilliant player. Roughie, you've been to 3 World Cups, but Joe Jordan, you played alongside him. Fearsome character.
Yeah, it came up through the under-23s with Joe and Kenny, big mates and fantastic players. You're right, he was fearsome. That I certainly wouldn't have liked to come up against him in the league football. He certainly was one of these old-style centre forwards who go through a brick wall for anything. And there's not many people scoring 3 different World Cups, which is absolutely incredible as well. But he was a winner through and through.
Yeah, and the other thing, the key point here not to be missed, Hugh may well have scored goals and put himself about, but he could hold the ball in and he had a good touch as well.
That's right. He was a smashing football player, Peter. You just have to look at the clubs he played for. He played for Leeds United under Don Revie. He played for Manchester United. He went on and played for AC Milan. You don't do that if you can't play football. He was an extraordinarily good footballer, apart from his obviously physical attributes. I reckon if we ever get round to doing some more programmes on, most important goals scored in Scottish football, in a national team sense, Joe Jordan's goal, 1973 Hampden header against Czechoslovakia, I think that ranks very high indeed. And it's one. I've watched football in 8 different decades, Peter. I've watched football in 8 different decades, and it's one of my favourite moments in football.
And if it's your favourite moment in football, I am now going to test you. Who crossed the ball for him?
Willie Morgan.
That'll do for me. That's the knowledge you need, Darren. That's why he's here. He knows his stuff.
I got it.
He'll give you. He got it.
it.
He'll give you an opinion. He knows his stuff. He doesn't shilly-shally and give you 3 out of the 4 possibly making it into the semi-finals of the league.
Yes.
This is a guy. This is a pundit. This is the pundit I had to go and get because Roughie in the first 2 weeks did my boxing 8 years ago. That's why I went for Hugh MacDonald. He gives you an opinion and he knows his stuff as well.
I'll throw you a question. How much money was Joe Jordan on at Man United? His basic wage? I remember him telling me clearly. Sorry?
In 1979, his basic wage, £400.
I was going to say
£520.
£520.
Him and Gordon McQueen were on the same contract.
£520 was good in 1979, I have to tell you. It was way above the average man on the street, Darren Jackson. He was happy with £520.
Roughie, I was playing it. We're not talking about wages now. We'll cut the show. We're not talking about wages. I was playing at Old Trafford and Anfield when I was at Newcastle in 88 on £220 a week. But Joe, listen, so Peter, see when you talk about, like, I think I mentioned maybe the boys will give me stick because I think I mentioned maybe once or twice that I've gone to a World Cup, but I'm actually in awe, and the true of someone like Roughie and Joe Jordan. 3 World Cups is just absolutely incredible, and to score at 3 World Cups, and see nowadays you talk about players like Peter, you know my pal Davy Bowman saying, could he play now because the way he went about tackling people, but he could play because he was a good footballer as well. Joe Jordan, people like ball playing centre halves now. Joe Jordan would batter the centre halves about just now because not a lot of them like headering the ball. But again, I spoke about Baresi there, Ray Wilkins. That he played in a Milan side that was world class as well. So that shows you how good a footballer he was.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Joe Jordan. Roughie, I wonder if you could tell me the goals that he scored in those World Cups against the opposition. Now that would be
He
really
scored
good if you could tell me.
he scored against Yugoslavia.
Yep.
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 Yep. Did he score against? I think he scored against
struggling.
Zaire. I don't think he scored
Yep.
against Zaire. He
Lorimer
scored against.
scored against Zaire.
He scored
Yeah.
against Peru. Am I
didn't.
short of one?
Because you've only
Yeah.
got 2 of 3.
Hold on. Right, that's Yugoslavia, Peru. He scored
And
against USSR.
Mm-hmm.
He actually scored against New Zealand as well, Ruffy. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There was that
3
many
World
scored
Cups.
that day. We weren't counting.
Yeah, try. Yeah, you're brave now. You didn't tell Steve Archibald that when we met him in Barcelona. I have to tell you.
No.
Anyway, listen, great to see Joe Jordan still going well at 69. He's drinking the same water that Roughie is drinking. The two of them look in great nick, and that's for certain. Anyway, apart from anything else, sorry about the technical issues. It happens from time to time. We'll try and sort that out for tomorrow's programme. We'll definitely have it sorted out for Sunday for the Scottish Cup final. That's for certain. We'll be out there with the PLZ team. Darren, Roughie and Gabriel will be alongside me getting ready for Celtic against Hearts. Tomorrow we will discuss more of the Betfred Cup and all the other emerging news, and you can give us your opinion as well. Like, share and follow us on our Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube, and of course we are on Twitter at PLZ Soccer, where you can watch the programme as well. Thank you for watching today.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.